Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, and I'm taking care of business. Joining me today is Anne-Marie Lurie, who is Chief Economist of the Calgary Real Estate Board. Interesting data coming out today from the board, Anne-Marie, on MLS sales in Calgary. 80+% year-over-year increase, more than 3,300 sales. Unbelievable. What's happening?
Well, we had a record number for February again this month. Now, what's happening is we actually saw listings improve. So there was actually some supply choice enabling to support some of that sales growth. I think one of the challenges that we've had in Calgary is there just hasn't been a lot of listings coming on, and that demand has still been there. And now with some of that listing growth, we actually saw that translate into improved sales. I mean, it's been held back by the lack of listings. Now, it hasn't changed the fact that the market is still really tight. It's still a seller's market conditions, but that's some of the reasoning why we saw some of that boost in sales.
Okay, we're going to get into the listings aspect of it in a second, but I just wanted to make note to people, like last year was a record year of MLS sales in Calgary, and first 2 months we're up whatever it is, 70+% year over year. Like it just seems incredible. We haven't seen anything like this in the market for a heck of a long time, right?
Not since 2006 in terms of that type of pace of growth. And it really is, it's a reflection of many things. I mean, one, we've had these very low interest rates that continues to support demand. Further to that, we have started to see improvements in our overall economy as well. I mean, so now we're almost past like some of the pandemic influence. We're starting to see growth in our jobs. We're seeing improvements in overall market conditions and a lot more confidence in terms of what Calgary looks like in the future as we move beyond and as we continue to recover. So
you mentioned the listings. 4,652 new listings in the month, plus 63.2% year over year. However, that inventory is still down 20.4% from a year ago. Why is that inventory still at a lower level?
It really comes down to the demand. So yes, we saw that strong level of new listings, but the demand has just been so strong that it just hasn't been enough to really support some of those gains, and inventory levels still remain quite low. Yes, they did move up a bit from where we were in the previous month. That's not really uncommon at this time of year, but it has just been because that demand continues to remain so strong in our market.
Okay, let's look at prices. Obviously, benchmark price, $499,400. That's the overall price for all residential properties. 16.1% increase year over year. Okay, a couple of things. In terms of that increase overall, have you ever seen that level of increase?
Again, last time we sort of saw that type of increase was back before the financial crisis. So again, that's coming back to 2006 timeframes where we had really significant gains in prices. And I think the commonality, I mean, there's a lot of differences in that time versus today. One of the common factors has been we didn't have supply in the market at that time either. So I think one of the challenges is when you have such a tight market condition, so less than 1 month supply in the detached market, overall residential market, 1 month of supply, that's just not a lot of product available, and that is causing really steep price gains, and again, something that we haven't seen since back in 2006.
Have we ever hit the 500K mark in the benchmark price in Calgary?
For detached homes or for total residential?
Just overall.
Well, I think we're at new highs now in terms of prices. So yeah, we have hit new highs at this stage. I mean, not inflation adjusted. So keeping that in mind, but.
And you bring up a good point. Obviously, we have to look at the different categories, and I don't have the stats right in front of me, but I seem to recall the detached market was even above the overall average in terms of hike, right?
Yeah, so the detached market has seen the strongest price gains out of all of the property types, sitting at over 18% higher than last year, a month over month gain of 6%, which is really quite significant in terms of a monthly gain. We don't typically see that type of
Yeah.
movement in home prices over that such a short time frame. And again, part of that's to do with is just is not enough supply. And any supply that does tend to come on is coming on at the higher price points. I mean, most of the listing growth this month for detached homes was kind of property priced over 600,000. So
Yeah.
that is a bit of a shift in our market. That's why we're seeing such strong price gains on the detached side. We have seen price gains in other property types. So even apartment condos are finally seeing some price gains.
Yeah.
But again, that market hasn't recovered yet from previous highs, and it is a bit of a different story still. Most of the demand growth that we've seen and most of the higher price gains have been driven by the detached side of the market.
All right, so we're into March and we're into the the unofficial spring market right now. What do we expect? What do you expect to see for the spring market this year?
Well, we still expect to see these tight conditions will persist. It's going to take some time for the supply levels to rebalance with demand. So I think we're going to continue to see further price gains as we move into the spring. The supply has always been a challenge in this market. Now we know that, yes, supply levels are coming on, but it's going to take some time to really meet that demand. Because I mean, you have to think what's also happened is because there's been a lack of supply, there's people who've been wanting to get into the market, but haven't found that product available. So I think it's going to take some time to work through that demand and for those supply demand balances to come into more normal sort of territory.
Yeah.
And I just don't expect that to happen over the next couple of months.
All right, super. Thanks, Anne-Marie, for joining us again today.
Thank you.
All right, that was Anne-Marie Lurie, who is Chief Economist, Calgary Real Estate Board. I'm Mario Toneguzzi. This has been Taking Care of Business. Thanks for joining us today.